So this is proving to be a very interesting first video. I do apologize. I probably sound like the biggest nong brain, but what can we do? Hi lovely people, I'm Amy from Polyreader. This is my first YouTube video. So the first thing I wanted to do, which I think hasn't been done enough on Booktube, well, as far as I can see, I may have missed some videos. Please direct me to those down below. Oh, this is my dog. Can you see her? She's a greyhound. Hey, Dooney. She's wondering why I'm talking to myself, because I don't usually do that when my husband's not home. Coffee, much needed. Please get yourself one. How beautiful is this mug? I love it. I can't remember the name. She's an Australian potter and I just love beautiful Australian pottery like this, so I will link it down below. So I would like to talk about amazing Australian female writers. I feel like it's not spoken about enough on Booktube. I do know that Simon from Savage Reads talks about Australian female writers a bit, and I think it's excellent. Thank you, Simon. I love his channel. But yeah, one of the reasons I wanted to start a Booktube was I crave talking about books that I love with other people, and I feel like I've got a great little community of readers in Australia, a little Facebook group that I have called Lit Ladies, and we discuss lots of things there, but it's not as exciting as in real life connections, I guess, and Booktube feels like the next level because it's videos of people actually talking and not just text typing. So anyway, this is rambling. I've got a pile of books here that I'm going to show you. The ones that I have hard copies of. I do give a lot of my books away, unfortunately, but you know, it's good to share stories. So first up, we have The Fish Girl. This was just nominated for the Stella Prize longlist in Australia. Mirandi, I'm really bad at pronouncing names. Riwowi? The Fish Girl is a tiny little novella. It is so good. It packs such a punch. My brother-in-law actually gave this to me. I think he knows Mirandi personally. He grew up with her in North Queensland. I think he did, unless he met her later on, but I'm not sure. So it's essentially about an Indonesian girl who her father sends her to live with a Dutch merchant. So it's about hardship and tenderness and the colliding of two cultures. I think we need more stories like this as mainstream reads. I think you learn a lot from reading stories about Indigenous people, Indigenous culture, and I think that she's done such a good job of making this story accessible for anyone that picks it up. It's really easy to read, but it sends you into her world. You can almost smell everything in the book. Like, she's so good at describing things that, yeah, you can smell it, you can see it, you can feel it. It's like you're there, and I love stories that can send you into their world like that. Don't really know how else to describe it, but you should grab a copy if you can. I will figure out a way for you to get it and I'll put it down below, because you should definitely grab a copy of this guy. It's really good. Shouldn't say guy, should say this book. Monkey Grip. I'm sure most of you know about Monkey Grip, or at least Helen Garner. She's one of Australia's best female writers. She's been around since the late 70s. This book is so visceral. Helen Garner's writing style is definitely she's one of my favorite writers ever. All right, let's get back to Helen Garner. Please get a copy of Monkey Grip if you haven't read it already. She just 5 stars. Okay, basically the storyline of this book is difficult to read. It's kind of about a bit of a boy. Oh, can I swear on YouTube? It's kind of about Helen Garner herself, but I guess she's changed a bit of it, so it's not technically non-fiction, but apparently she wrote this book with a huge array of journal entries that she sat down and collated together. So it's essentially about her life and a man that treated her pretty badly, and she kept going back to him, and it's very frustrating. But the way she writes the book, it's just so engaging, you can't put it down. And it's one of those stories where you want to read every sentence slowly over again because it's just so beautiful. And I love books like that because I feel like there's not enough. Well, you know what? Maybe I'm just not finding I'm reading too many books that aren't like that. And when I do now, I sort of go, yeah, the story's all right, but the writing's average, you know, you kind of start to get a bit judgy once you find what you truly love. I'll see if I can find a little segment to read out for you so you can see what I mean. I haven't underlined anything. I usually do that. I'm one of those annoying people that underlines in books the things that really stand out and that I want to go back to, but I actually haven't, so just give me a minute, I'll be back. So I'm just going to start at the beginning and read the first little paragraph / few lines, because I mean every line is brilliant, so that's a great way to start. There was something else I was going to say, but I've lost my train of thought. In the old brown house on the corner, a mile from the middle of the city, we ate bacon for breakfast every morning of our lives. There were never enough chairs for us all to sit up at the meal table. One or two of us always sat on the floor on the kitchen step, plate on knee. It never occurred to us to teach the children to eat with a knife and fork. It was hunger and all sheer function, the noise and clashing of plates, and people chewing with their mouths open and talking and laughing. Oh, I was happy then. A night our backyard smelt like the country. At night, our backyard smelt like the country. It was early summer, and everything, as it always does, began to heave and change. That line, it was early summer. It's such an Australian book, that's the thing. I think that's why I relate to it and love it so much. It was early summer, and everything, as it always does, began to heave and change. And it's just that, you know, in summer in Australia, everything does begin to heave and change. It gets so, just the whole atmosphere is really, oh, you know what? I'm not a writer. Helen Garner's the writer, and she did such a good job of describing it. So yeah, pick up a copy of Monkey Grip if you haven't already. It's a Penguin classic. You can get it anywhere. It's $10 Australian. Helen Garner, Monkey Grip, one of my favorite Australian female writers. I have to say, I don't have them with me, but Helen Garner's books, Joe Chinku's Consolation and This House of Grief, are two of my favorite books ever. I've given both of them away because I love them so much that I wanted everybody else to read them. Helen Garner is known over here for her non-fiction telling of crimes, so she's a really amazing crime writer. She gets into the courthouses and goes through everything, all the information, talks to the families involved, you know, like gets all the details, but she writes it from her own perspective, so she's not writing it from, I mean, I feel like a lot of non-fiction crime novels are written from an outsider's perspective, but this is written from her own engagement with the process of the hearings, and so it is just incredible. They are both such moving books. You can see everybody's perspective. She doesn't take sides. She doesn't paint the picture of the villain being villain. It's not a non-fiction. It's not a fiction book, Amy. Of the accused being a really evil person. She paints a picture from their perspective, so everyone gets their own perspective. It's just, yeah, really difficult to read because they're true stories and they happened here in Australia, and yeah, quite tear-jerking and sickening sometimes. So if you're not good with that kind of stuff, probably don't read them. But yeah, highly recommend. That was Joe Chinku's Consolation and This House of Grief by Helen Garner. Things That Helped by Jessica Friedman. Look at this cover. I love this cover. It's just so beautiful. Love, love, love. Jessica Friedman is a young Australian writer around my age, maybe a tiny bit older than me. And this is a non-fiction collection of essays that she wrote after she went through childbirth. It's essentially about postpartum depression, struggling with isolation after you have a child. Oh my God, it is so moving and deep and philosophical and quite heavy. I could relate to a lot of it even though I don't have kids, just because I feel like we're quite similar. Struggles a lot with mental health issues, and yeah, this is just something else, this book. And I'm so sad that I haven't seen it anywhere, you know, like I feel like not enough people have read this and it really deserves a lot of praise. So I highly recommend you read it. Even if you're not a woman, even if you haven't had a baby, you will find something in here that is relatable. It is beautiful, beautiful book. Yeah, another 5-star for me. Jessica Friedman, things that helped. Nobody tells you as a child that your initiation into womanhood might come at the price of craving for misuse and violence, that you can protect yourself from others, but that nobody can protect you from yourself. So, oh, I swore again. Sorry, so beautiful, so relatable. It's just, yeah, incredible writing. I love when, especially when women write about things that are sort of taboo or frowned upon, or you don't share, you know, the postpartum depression stories. You know, a lot of people in the older generations just found that kind of hush hush, you know, you keep it under wraps, you don't want people to think that you're struggling, but it is hard. Oh my God, I keep swearing. It is really hard as a woman. I obviously haven't done it myself, but I have so many friends that have gone through this, and I can see how intense it is. It's one of the biggest things you can do in your life is go through motherhood. Through the tide of hormones surging within my body and the little runnels of blood and the sour tang of my breasts, I lay awake, listening and thinking of breath and of water. I had broken my relationship with sleep. So good. Really beautiful book. Highly recommend. Next up, we have Pulse Points by Jennifer Down. This is an excellent book. This is a collection. I do apologize. I keep looking at myself. I'm filming on my phone. I forget that the camera's all the way over here. I'm sorry. I'm going to try a bit harder, but I'm not used to this yet. I'll get better, I promise. Jennifer Down, Pulse Points. This is a writer who is my age, and she lives here in Melbourne, and she is excellent. I can relate to everything she writes. Her first novel was called Our Magic Hour, and that was well enjoyed. I actually borrowed that one from a friend, so I don't have it here to show you, but I will pop it here. This is her newer book. It's a collection of short stories. Each short story packs such a punch. These ones were really enjoyable. I always am a bit iffy with short stories because I found that the majority of the ones that I really love, books that I really love of short stories, collections, I generally only like a few. It's pretty rare for me to love every single short story, and I guess that's kind of why they exist, so that you can, well, you're not going to love everything everyone writes, I guess, as well, but this one, I'm pretty sure I loved every single one. I actually read it a while ago now, so I can't remember, but I do recall thinking, wow, that was a great one, and then each story thinking, wow, that was a great one. The other book I can think of that was excellent was, I can't remember, but it was excellent. If I remember, I'll pop it here, and I apologize for not remembering it off the top of my head, but there it is. So one thing I love about Jennifer Down is she has the ability to write from so many different perspectives. Each story in this book is completely different to the next, and each one is compelling in its own unique way. This writing style is really easy to read and accessible, and I love that about Jennifer Down. She doesn't try too hard to make things too complicated. She just writes it as it is. And in turn, she's an excellent storyteller. So yeah, I really recommend this. It's definitely accessible for anybody who's not a big reader, but also would be quite enjoyed by people who are big readers. Yeah, The Trauma Cleaner by Sara Kron... Krasnostein. Sara Krasnostein. I've actually never said that out loud. There you go. This book is like nothing I've ever read. I read this book this year, and it's one of my first 5-star book reads of the year. It's non-fiction. It's the story of a trans woman who has had the most intense life I have ever heard. It is, no wonder she wrote a book about it. It is just mind-boggling. Sandra Pankhurst, who is the main person, not main character, it's non-fiction, who is the focus of this book, is a trauma cleaner. And some of you may already know what that is, but essentially it's someone who cleans up deceased estates, cleans up after murders and suicides and hoarders' houses and anything that basically most people don't want to have to deal with. She deals with it, and she deals with it with such grace and poise and kindness, and I just am baffled by the amount of pure goodness she has in her heart after the life she has led. It is, yeah, it was such a brutal life, and she's such a kind and gentle person. and gives people the benefit of the doubt, you know. She does not judge people, and she always makes everybody feel really comfortable and worthy of love. I don't even know how to begin describing the story of this book. It's just, it's full. It's really full to the brim of, there's lots of trigger warnings in here, so I think everybody I know who's read this has really enjoyed it. It's quite popular down in Australia at the moment, well, specifically in Melbourne, in the reading community. It was given to be me in my book swap by one of the lovely, thanks Melissa, one of the lovely people in my book swap, and yeah, everyone seems to love it in my little group, so highly recommend this. This is one of the best books of the year in my opinion. And that is all I have with me, but I just wanted to show 2 more Helen Garners because, as you can tell, I am obsessed with Helen Garner, as most female readers in Australia are, and male, and every other gender, but you know, she's just really freaking good. This is her on the front here. She's a lovely little lady. Just got away with words, she does. She's just excellent. These are both, this one is fiction, and this one is non-fiction, but yeah, she's excellent at both. Look, there's some beautiful pictures of her on the back here. That is that. One more I might just quickly mention is Brodie Lancaster, No Way, Okay, Fine. This is a pop culture memoir of someone who is my age, so basically everything in this book is like a relay of my own life and growing up and teenage years, so I just laughed so much through this book. It was so relatable. And that's all from me, and this video has been very strange and probably laughable and a little bit embarrassing, but I did it, I got through it, and I hope to share some more with you soon. So thanks for watching. Bye.